There was something that I wrote in my notes that I was trying to find. It was something about building something over time. It's something you said that I wish I had access to. Um, but I I st I still wanna stay with, like, the relationships between the brands and the athletes of, how early these relationships go to. We are on the cusp of the NBA draft, which is next week,
Yep.
and one of the things I had to tell some of my co-hosts, I think maybe a couple of years ago, where they thought I was guessing the shoe brands for guys because I was telling them, like, "Oh, these haven't been announced." But I'm like, "Oh, no, the Thompson twins, they'll be with Nike. This
Yep.
guy will be here." And
Yep.
they're like, how are you so sure?" And I'm like, "Because I've watched these guys since grassroots, and they played in the Nike EYBL."
Yeah, yeah, the EYBL. Yep.
How early do these relationships start? Because I'm like you in a sense where
Yeah.
I don't know the marketing thing, but all my life I've been a guy that has paid so much attention to the shoes that players are wearing.
Yeah.
I notice when a guy isn't wearing Nike anymore and he has on Adidas, and it's like, oh, hold on,
Oh,
like
whoa. Yeah, totally.
what is that
Yeah.
about? So I'm very curious to know how early these relationships start. Even a guy like Darren Peterson, I don't know how much you keep up with the NBA draft.
Yeah.
He I forget his recruiting situation, but like a guy like him, I would have told my friends he's going to Kansas, even when he was down to his last 3 schools, because it may have been like something where it's like a
2
dude
Nike.
to
Yeah.
Nike, but I seen him
Yeah.
in high school go to a prolific
Yeah.
prep with
Yep.
Adidas and,
Yep.
so yeah, I just wanna talk on how early these relationships begin.
Too early. I'll say that. Uh, yeah. I mean, too early. That's the name of the game. I've thought a lot about this and come up with I haven't come up with my take, but I wonder there's a way that the business has been working for 30 years since Sonny Vaccaro,
Mhm.
signed Jordan and then went on to sign the others. That's who the movie Air was about. Sonny Vaccaro kind of created this industry that we live in, this kind of um, what we take for granted, but you signed the coach, and then the coach would then dictate what the players wore because you couldn't sign the players. So there's a whole industry that's been created that I don't think the cascading effect has really happened and disrupted this industry in the 5 years that NIL has now been allowed. So in 37 states, you can sign NIL athletes in high school. Texas, ironically, is not one of them, but which is where I am. But so those relationships start very early. Yes, they start the name of the game. There are grassroots marketing people who handle that. They are signing the AAU teams. They are creating AAU circuits. So the EYBL is a Nike property. Um, the Adidas, what's the Adidas one called?
I forget, but because
Yeah, but
Adidas
it's
has so many.
yeah, but it's something. The Adidas has its version of the EYBL. Puma has one now. So
New Balance
this
has one.
yeah, so this sneaker stuff happens early, and I don't love it, personally. I don't love the culture of the I it was such a weird experience for me. I love basketball. It's probably the sport I like probably the sport I like the most. Like when it finally gets down to it, like this final I mean, honest something about this Western Conference Finals reignited my love of the NBA. I think it probably did for a lot of us, and the finals were great too. But it's like, God, this is what I sign up for. I don't sign up for load management, and I understand why the athletes do it. But like the NBA product has gotten so watered down and so just bad that once the playoffs hit, it's like, oh hell yeah, this
Let's
is what
go.
I fell in love with. This is what I'm like, my God, this is just must see TV. And so but when I went to Nike and I started to understand the business, I was like, dude, I don't want any part of that. Like I did not want to work in basketball really. I like working on the global stuff and these ad things and all that, but I did not want to be involved in grassroots basketball because it's a grimy business, dude. And it's gotten better, but we've had literal people go to prison. We had, Jim Gatto and others at Adidas and grassroots marketing, and they, having just spent a week shooting a documentary on prison, a lot of when you talk to those guys, they'll say all of us commit crimes, only some of us get caught. I would say Adidas was, I mean, they were doing some shady stuff. I don't think they're the only ones who are doing it. To mine, I don't know. I don't have insider knowledge of what's happening at Nike, but I know like just the business and the way that it worked is not always like illegal where you'd be able to go to prison, but it's always skating the rules in a way that drove me to really be passionate about NIL. All of this business, the only reason these leagues and these coaches are getting signed is to get to the athlete, to get to Darren Peterson. The whole like grassroots league of Adidas, the end case that they want is to have Darren Peterson, is to have Anthony Edwards. Like the whole reason that they're going to spend whatever tens of millions of dollars to host camps across the entire country, to sign all of these coaches, to sign all of these skills trainers, to sign all of these people is to end up at the product where you have Anthony Edwards, and Anthony Edwards becomes the future face of the league. To get Darren Peterson, who becomes maybe the first round pick or the second round, or the number 2, 3 pick. Like that's the whole end game of that. And yes, you want to have influence on young athletes, and yes, you want to have kids experience your product, but at the end of the day, that's what you're gunning for. And I just would rather live in a world where Darren Peterson realizes the value of his star power and that he could just directly get paid. And so, in many ways, I'm encouraged about NIL. Are there trade offs with this? Absolutely. Do I think like we should be, you should have agents hounding and chasing down 14-year-olds? Like, not necessarily, but I would rather that than them having to bend over backwards and do somersaults to try to bend the rules to where we're like hiring your mom or dad or your uncle for some like stupid job that doesn't exist so that you'll go to this university, or dropping a duffel bag of having boosters have to drop a duffel bag of cash to pay you to go to this university. I would just rather it be all on the table. And I recognize there are downsides of that, but having worked in the college sports industry for a long time, it was just kind of ridiculous to me that all of this business, billions of dollars of value, is all in the name of trying to get these 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 athletes. And I think those athletes should experience that upside more than anything else.
Goes into another conversation I wanted to have with you. So,
Mm.
hypothetically speaking, me and you meet here. We start a rapport that goes for the next 20 plus years.
Yep.
Hypothetically, I have a son or a nephew, and they're buzzing to be something.
Yep.
What what advice or route would you offer for the next potential emerging athlete? Is it to, because I heard you talk about, maybe it been in a Steph video where it's like you have these brands and even like a Nike who you've worked for, where it's like it's only so much you can do, with so many athletes. It's only like
Yep.
5 or 6 guys that's going to have a shoe.
Yep. Yep.
Would you advise somebody to still go down the route of trying
Yeah.
to be a Nike or a
Yeah.
Adidas athlete? Or are you more supportive of what is Nikola Jokic is what 361, or
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
Embiid with Skechers? Cooper Flag
Yep.
did go to New Balance. Are you more that route, or are you like, hey, if you're going to be that guy anyway, you might as well do it with the guy in the industry, which is the Nikes or Adidas?
I think this is a similar conversation to on the field as it is off the field. So let's say you're the top recruit and you're getting picked to go to UConn, right? Uh, you may be that alpha who's like, I don't care that they got 5 starters who are juniors and seniors who just won a championship. I'm a freshman. I'm going to take that starting job. Like I'm big enough. I believe that I'm going to be big enough that I'm going to go, or I'm willing to study under those elder statesmen and that coach. And I'm willing to be patient because I see the long-term value in me being with UConn. I think most of that conversation has gone out the window now that there's millions of dollars on the line. But or do I want to take, let's say I get $1 million to go to UConn, but there's no guarantee I'm going to play, or I'm going to play in a supporting role. Or Miami may not have the storied program they did, but they're offering $3 million to me at 18 to go be the feature. And I'm going to be the hands down star. I'm going to be the biggest dude. I'm going to be the alpha on campus. Like that is to some, that would be a very clear decision. It would just be about finances. And to other people, that would be like, okay, we need to weigh pros and cons. And so, in some ways, this is why I like NIL for young men and young women. That is the same decision that you will need to make in a business decision. So, do you want to go to Nike where there are a bunch of other signature athletes? Nike's probably not going to give you the signature shoe right off the gate, and they'll tell you like you could earn that. Let's say Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham did not start out as a Nike as a signature athlete, but a couple years in, he proved himself, and now he's going to get that signature deal. Somebody like a Shea was recruited to Converse. Like, you're going to go to the smaller brand and be a signature face, or you want to go to the bigger one. And so I want to be the big fish in a smaller pond generally, from a business standpoint. And that will depend on the athlete and how much responsibility they want and how much marketing attention they want. But in general, I would probably opt to be the big fish in a smaller pond. So I would, yeah, give me the Puma deal. Give me the
Cooper
Reebok.
Flag, New Balance.
Yeah, Cooper Flag, New Balance, right? We're gonna make you the face, and a lot of times you're gonna get way more attention and effort. However, I think most people would agree. Had Steph Curry been with Nike, I think his brand and the ability and his product experience with his fan would have been categorically better. Um,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, we can all. I think we all admit that. I don't. I have no ill will against Under Armour. I think they tried and it just didn't work. But you can imagine like the emotive storytelling that Steph could have had with Nike. On the other hand, I always put these two in the same. Like Caitlin Clark, they haven't done a thing with Caitlin Clark, and it drives me insane. And I think they've missed her signatures now coming and all that. But I think they missed Caitlin Mania, and maybe she'll go on and win a title, or she'll win an MVP or something, and she'll get that back. But like Caitlin Mania was a fever pitch, and because they had a bunch of other athletes, they had commitments towards. They could not capitalize upon that. Whereas I think any other brand in the world, any brand, I think if she had started the Caitlin brand, like they would have done millions and millions of dollars worth of business. And so, yeah, those are the trade offs that we all have to make and consider in life.
Hit subscribe for more news, highlights, and analysis from the NBA on NBC.